Hello and welcome. This is another watch review. Okay, I do have many watches and I thought I would share this review with you. Okay, now this is a watch that I purchased precisely 2 years ago. Okay, that doesn't look bad for 2 years, I have to say. I have a metal G-SHOCK I might do a review on that I've had for 11 years, 10 or 11 years, and that too looks in very good condition. I like to keep things in good condition, but I don't put them in a box and forget about them. I've worn this nearly every day for the 2 years, okay? I do have a watch rotation, but I've worn this watch probably the most out of all of them. Everything from the strap, just the comfortability of it, and the look of it, and the function. I mean, this watch is, when I first saw pictures of it, I just fell in love. You know, there's just some watches that you look at and you think, wow, I've got to have that. There's just something about that really kind of arouses me, if you get what I mean. Anyway, we'll go through some of the features, okay? Not in any particular order, but firstly I would like to point out that it is solar powered, okay? It says tough solar. Now I really do apologise for the glare and from the light, the reflections. It's just the type of glass that's on there, and all watches, if they're if they're polished well and things, that they will just reflect, okay? Now anyway, so this is solar powered, doesn't look it, but underneath the dial there are, you know, solar panels, plenty of them to give it enough power. It's tricky. It was quite tricky to set up because there's no display, so you don't know where you are and things, but if you see all of these little well, they're cities, okay, around the side. When I first received mine, I think mine was set to Paris, or to Japan, probably Japan. Anyway, it was set to that, and you know, deciphering the instructions, which are quite thick, mainly because they're in every language possible, really. I managed to set it to London, of course, and then ever since then it's been able to update and receive the time and things like that, which leads me on to my next point. This watch it's a multiband 6 radio controlled. Okay, so in here there is a built-in radio signal receiver, okay, which ensures that the exact time is displayed across Europe, United States, Japan and China. It's important to mention those 4 areas, okay? If you don't live in those 4 areas, I'm afraid at the moment this watch, it would not receive signal automatically from a radio tower, okay? They might put more radio towers in the future up in other places, but just at the moment you wouldn't be able to receive a signal. That's not that bad. The watch will still work, you just won't be able to get an updated signal. Okay, and all the updated signal means is that every night at about 12 to 3 o'clock once, it will talk to the radio mast and say, hey, is this the correct time I'm showing? And the mast will say, yeah, not a problem, and then it will obviously tell the watch to change the time if necessary. Okay, so every single night it will be accurate to 1 second. Now if you look at those markers, it's dead on. That's very rare in a quartz watch, okay, very rare. Alright, most mechanical watches, this second time isn't normally dead on, okay, and one of the reasons of that is because of the multiband 6, okay, so you're getting a very accurate watch, okay. Now we'll talk about the world time. It can display times in different countries. At the moment, for some reason, I've got it set to LA down at the bottom there. Okay, I believe I have, or it might be. Well, it's one of those anyway. Like I said, sometimes it is quite complex to work out. But if we do, so these are all the buttons. There's 4. Okay. Now this one is your function. So it's gone from the day, and it's now whizzing round to 0, which is the stopwatch. Would you use an analog watch as a stopwatch? You can do. It's got that function on there, but by all means, I would much rather use a digital watch. Okay, so that's to start the stopwatch. Okay, and then you stop it, and then obviously there you've got the seconds, if you can even read that, and there you've got the hundredths of the second. Okay, so we'll just reset that like so. Okay, and so that's the stopwatch, you know, because it doesn't say well, it says 0 rather than SU. SU is obviously Sunday. Do the next function, which I think is standard time. This is your alarm. Okay, and then back to normal. Okay. It's quite a fun watching all the dials and things go around. You know, that's one of the reasons I bought it as well. It's because of it's an analog watch, kind of, but it's got so many little bits of digital circuitry and things in it. So it's kind of a mishmash. It's kind of like 2 really excellent ideas merged into one. You know, like he had GPSs before they had them in cars and things, and obviously now a lot of cars come with GPSs in them. It's that kind of merger, really, of 2 incredible ideas. Now we'll carry on with the rest of the features. I mentioned an alarm there. There is a beeper alarm. Okay. Now we'll mention some of the non-obvious features. Well, I say obvious features. Okay. So it is a G-SHOCK. It's very, very, very rugged. Never had any problems with any G-SHOCK. You can change the band, the watch strap, if you wish. There are ways to do that. Mine's scuffed up a little bit, but I'm not too OCD about it. But there is that option to change it, and I'm quite pleased on how the writing and all of this area of the kind of crown has shaped up. It's not all plastic. This top bit is plastic. The actual glass is well, I think it's Hardlex crystal, type of sapphire, very scratch resistant. Obviously it tries to be non-reflective as possible, but that's still quite difficult. Okay, that's just the trade-off. If you've got Hardlex crystal, please put it in the comments if I'm wrong. You know, correct me, but I believe that Hardlex crystal is obviously more reflective, but it's stronger. Now if you've got like a sapphire crystal or something like that on a more expensive watch, obviously the reflection is less, but if you drop it like a tag or something like that, it will just shatter, whereas this is much more durable. But that's the trade-off, I believe. Please quote me if I'm wrong. So the top is plastic. This is kind of like metal. Okay, these bits and on the top. Okay, now you're thinking, oh, has it got a light? No, has it got a light? All of these markers, more or less, are, especially the hands, are what's called as Neobrite. It's a luminous coating that provides long-term illumination in the dark after only a short exposure to light. Now this is a bit hit or miss. Okay, in the summer, I've looked at this watch on the table, and you can just about read it. Okay, in the winter you probably haven't got much of a chance. It really depends on the exposure to light. Okay, I'm just going to do a quick test. I'm going to hold it up to the lamp, okay, for 5 seconds, and then I'll switch the light off. There you go. Okay, that's kind of the luminescent that you would expect. Okay, it's all right. Casio and G-Shock, they're not really kind of like generous with their luminescent paint and things, or coatings. As you can see, it's already going down a little bit. But that having said, most of the time I have been able to read it at night. However, I would have obviously liked a light on there as well, even if it reduced the battery life of the watch. Okay, now this watch is it is advertised as obviously waterproof, or water resistant, sorry, of 200 meters or 20 bars. Okay, so it's excellent for swimming, snorkeling, and most of the good stuff in the sea is within the first 10 meters anyway. So this will easily be adequate for diving. I wouldn't recommend it greatly for diving as your main watch, mainly because of that luminescent paint. You do want, it's obviously incredibly important to read time underwater, so I would actually suggest another G-Shock of 200 meters that has a light on it. I mean, it can cope with it, okay, but I'm just saying you don't want to be looking at your watch down there at 14 meters or 20 meters and thinking, have I actually been down here for half an hour or 50 minutes, you know, because you can't really see the dial that well. You know, trust me from my experience in that. But there you go. So that's the luminescent brightness. Now, one of the big features is obviously it's waterproof, shock resistant, but also capable of withstanding 15G. Yeah, I don't think you're going to be putting it through 15G unless you are a pilot, in which case you're on a ridiculous salary and you're probably going to buy a much more expensive watch. I would have thought, but anyway, it can do that. So if you do want to test that out, you know, probably hop to Alton Towers or another theme park and watch the seconds just to see if there is any change. But apart from that, there we go. That's all I can say about that. Okay, so overall, I was incredibly impressed. I may have said a few negative points on it, but really, I can't fault this. You can put it through anything, and apart from obviously the luminescent and things, the luminosity of the markers, that's probably the only bad thing I'd say about it, really. It tells the time, it's been very accurate, it goes into power saving mode, and it wakes up quite easily. It's just been an excellent companion, quite easy to read at a glance, and yeah, it's one of my favourite watches. Okay, like I say, one of these set you back about £200, but their newer models are getting better and better and better. That's what Casio and G-Shock do. You just can't go wrong with the G-Shock. Never had any bad experiences. Check out other people's reviews; they'll probably say the same thing. But there you go. It's an excellent aviator watch. It is the G-Shock GW-3000B-1AER. It's probably not BD. It's probably a different letter there, but it's definitely a GW-3000. Okay. Well, thanks for bearing with me, and thanks for watching. All the best, and you know, take care.